What's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 68 of the RXP podcast, the podcast where three working professionals talk all about their love for movies, TV shows, and video games. Today, I am joined by Tiffany.
Heidi ho there.
And Alex.
Hody hi.
Nice. Nice. Well, you know what also is nice? Playing games, watching movies, watching TV shows, every little thing that we talk about, we're going to talk all about it today. But first, I want to start off with something that I've been wanting to do for our variety game segment. You know, thinking back on what I've been playing, what I've been doing. One of the highlights has been playing co-op with my good old friend Alex. We've been playing Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, and I was thinking, you know, it'd be really fun if we had co-op in VGS. So today, for the first time ever, you both are a team. Alex and Tiffany, we are going to play What Am I? And that's going to be, I'm going to be a game. It could be a game from the beginning of time to release last week. And you all get 20 questions, yes or no questions, to figure out what game I am.
You did take my idea. This was going to be my video game segment.
Excellent.
Variety game segment for my upcoming episode.
Well, I took it. It's a compliment of us co-oping, you know, like we are now one mind. You know,
a hive mind.
That must be what it is. So
well, I hope you didn't take my game too, because that'd also be very
that would be awkward. So what I think is fair, if you guys get it, and I think you guys will, I'm not gonna pick like some obscure like Star Fox 2 that was only released in Japan. Like it's not gonna be anything like that. These are gonna be a well-known game. I'm gonna give you all 20 questions. They're going to be yes or no questions. I'm going to answer them the best I can. And you can guess at any time if you think you know the game. If you're wrong, it'll just count as one of your questions. Make sense? Like standard 20 questions. So, if you guys get it, you'll both get a point. If you don't, I'll get a point. I think that's fair. Especially because I promise it's not an obscure game. So just to update everyone, the standings right now is Alex has 4 and Tiffany and myself have 3. So you guys can make some big moves separating yourself from me with this game. So you guys ready?
Sure.
Okay. And you guys can decide if you guys want to do like every other, you guys ask a question, or if you want to talk it out, you know, no big deal. So we will start now with 20 questions. What am I?
Alex, do we ask a year cutoff? Like for our first question?
Well, for the first question, I just want to go with his theme, you know. So I just want to ask him, can you co-op this game?
Oh.
Like, is it co-opable?
You can co-op this game.
Okay. Do you think a year cutoff would help us? I feel like you know release dates better than me, though. If
and I guess it'd be something that he wouldn't pick that's older, even though a lot of older games are co-opable, right? Like you think back to the arcade, but I'm like, oh man, does Matt know games? Like, does he know if it came out in 89 or 91?
Well, I mean, like, I was going to say, like, did it come out after the pandemic, like 2020?
I think that's not enough of a window, though.
Okay,
right?
what about 2016?
Is that still enough of? I guess the problem is like how many years do we want?
Maybe 2017, because then that includes the Nintendo Switch. You know?
Sure.
Okay. Has the game come out after 2017?
Yes.
Okay, so it's like fairly I mean, like, that's recent.
In the past 4 years.
Yeah. 5 years.
Yeah.
Well, you said after 2017, so I was thinking 2018 onward, but
it could. How did I ask
like
this question?
You said after 2017, so in my mind,
okay,
it came out January 1st, 2018 or later.
Well, that's not
I
what
was
I meant when
thinking
I asked the
including
question.
2017, but
I was including 2017.
either
Well,
way.
when you say after 2017, what was 2017?
Alex, do we ask
you guys-
about console? It's co-op. It's a co-op game, a recent co-op game. But
Yep.
like, there's multi-platform. Do we ask if it's a multi-platform game?
I want to say
No, that doesn't
no.
really
Is this an indie title? Like, is this published by an indie? What you would consider an indie publisher?
No.
Okay. Well, I was thinking like along the lines of like Overcooked or something, but now if you
But then
say
it's not going to
that,
be
then-
It Takes Two because
It could be It Takes
no,
Two.
that Hazelight Studios.
No, but
not pub- it's
EA
not pub-
published it, and that's
Oh.
EA's big AAA.
Okay, then it could be a Nintendo game,
It could be Nintendo.
but I don't really know Nintendo
Do
specific co-op.
we need genre. So like, what type of co-op is it?
You guys are a great team. This is great.
Shooter, Alex? Do you think like differentiating a shooter game, or like I don't know how to call that genre,
I mean, shooters.
looter shooter?
I mean, there are shooters.
Do I say
mean,
like is it Avenger, Marvel's Avenger?
No, what would be hilarious if he said if this is just Tiny Tina's Wonderlands and he's like inspired by Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. It's Tiny Tina's Wonderlands.
Is that your guess? Are you taking my guess?
I don't want to blow that, even though Matt said we can still guess the game and continue on, but
What would help differentiate? Oh, do we say like?
I mean,
Is it-
shooter's a big genre. It could be shooter or platformer. Because it could
okay,
be like
I'll
Sackboy.
ask platform. Is this game a platformer?
Or, yeah.
No.
Okay, so it's probably a shooter.
Well, why don't you ask that?
Would you consider this game in the shooter genre?
Yes.
Is it Tiny Tina's? Alex, I don't know any.
If you want to guess it.
No, I don't want to guess it. Is that a shooter?
Yeah,
I
Tiny
don't-
Tina is a shooter.
Is it Tiny Tina's Wonderland?
It is not Tiny Tina's Wonderland. That would have been hilarious, though.
Alex, I'm gonna.
How many
is
questions do we have left?
So you have
Why don't we
14
say-
questions left.
Is this a PlayStation 5 game?
Wait, really? We have four?
Like,
Yeah.
is this PlayStation 5?
And if you ever
not
need a
PlayStation
recap
4,
of the questions that you've asked, I'm writing these down as you go. Just let me know.
So co-op, I guess, is also generic in that maybe this is like Deathloop, but I'm like, technically they're like, Deathloop's not like co-op per se, but like there's another player in there with you, and like technically they could help you. Like, you don't, like, the person that invades you doesn't have to kill you.
I mean, Alex, do we want to ask something else? Like, did this game come out in 2020 or early or now to now?
So now we're like cutting 2 years.
Yeah.
Or I guess, is it available on PS5 or Xbox Series X/S?
I mean,
So,
that
like,
was my
current
original.
gen.
Yes, that was.
But
But then I
excluding
don't.
Switch.
But I don't want to ask about both consoles because that doesn't really help.
I mean, it does, because if he says no, then, or if we ask both and he says no, then it's multi-platform, or it's like it's on Switch also, or it's exclusive
Fine,
to one.
ask your question.
What's your question, Alex?
Oh man, there's so many questions I could ask. Is this platform exclusive?
Yes.
So now I'm thinking Halo potentially, but
Okay.
technically Halo Infinite's multi or co-op isn't out yet, but it will have it, so I would call that co-opable, but that's like one route I'm thinking. But then it could be, one of the exclusives on PlayStation, or it could be actually a Switch shooter. It might be like Splatoon, right? That's a
That
co-opable
is
shooter.
a co-opable shooter. Yeah, but why would that's so random? Like, why would it be Splatoon? Is it because Splatoon 3 is
I
coming
know,
out this year?
Matt doesn't want to make it too easy, You know.
Alex,
Who knows?
what was the last question you just asked? It's
I'll
not
recap
platform
it. I'll recap it for
No, he's
everybody.
not
So it is co-opable. It was released after 2017. It is not an indie. It is not a platformer. It is within the shooter genre. It is not Tiny Tina's, and it is a console exclusive.
Is it Halo?
It is not Halo. You have 12 questions left.
Is this a series? Like, are there multiple entries that make up this like series
It is not.
that it's in?
It is not part of a series. No.
A single player co-opable game that's platform exclusive that came out recently?
Or a single game, not a single player.
Alex, I'm doing it. Did this game come out March 2020, between March 2020 and April 2022?
It did come after March 2020. You have
A panorama, Alex, a panorama game. Do we think It Takes Two?
I
Is
mean,
this where
technically
he-
that is
you're,
a
Is this
shooter.
where-
you're at the halfway. You're at the halfway mark.
Is this where he announces that he finally finishes it? Like that's what he's been playing? Is that Alex?
Maybe.
Is
If
that-
you want to sniff it out?
I don't know how to sniff it out. That's just there is shooting
guess
in it. Is this It Takes Two?
It is not. It takes two.
You're making all my guesses be actual games. So all our listeners are going to think I'm a dummy because I'm not asking questions.
But you're actually asking games, though.
Yeah.
You're being like, I don't know what games are.
Alex,
I know genres.
what are you going to do now?
So it's come out in the past couple years, and it's what you would call a shooter. Now I'm thinking, has Tiffany or I played this game?
Oh, that's
Yes.
a great question. Alex.
I'm like, I mean, oh man, it could be Avengers. Oh no, Avengers came out before, didn't it? Didn't it come out 2019? Yeah, I think it came out fall 2019.
It came. I thought
Before
it came
the
out during the
pandemic.
panorama.
No,
it
because it can't. Oh no, it might have come out. Yeah, just before the new consoles launched.
Yeah, it came out like
it came
September,
out like September,
in
and the new
2020.
consoles November.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that sounds about right.
You have 8 questions left.
Does this have licensed characters in it?
No.
Is this game Outriders?
No.
Oh, okay.
You or I have played it as co-opable.
6 questions left.
He says it is console exclusive,
Yeah, it's
It is.
It's platform.
Yep.
Exclusive.
but it's not platformer, so I wouldn't count Kirby in the Forgotten Land, because that's
Is that a shooter though? I don't know. I mean, I guess
Doesn't Kirby have a gun?
he does have a gun,
I wouldn't call Kirby a shooter.
but he platforms too.
That's true. But and then Matt said it's not a platformer.
Yeah. And then
Very true.
Mario Odyssey. Oh no, that came out before 2020. That came out in
Yeah,
2017.
you gotta think of new
2017.
stuff. This
Yeah, I
is
gotta think
all
of new stuff. New stuff. It's not Halo. Are you cheating, Alex?
I'm not cheating.
No, Alex. His. Are you looking
My
up
screen
games?
spreader?
Yeah,
No, I'm
your
looking at
screen
games
spreader-
I played.
Yeah, you're looking at games you played.
Is there rules against this? Am I not allowed to?
I don't
look at
know
games I
if there's rules against this.
co-opable game?
All right, keep it moving. Keep it moving. We're at 15 minutes in.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, I know. I think I know what this is. Is this game Returnal?
It is Returnal.
Oh
At
my
15
gosh.
questions in,
Oh
after
my gosh.
looking at his own PlayStation profile.
No, my notepad.
Oh, his
Games.
notepad. Got it. Got
Dang
it. Got it.
notepad.
Yeah, so
I did not
it,
go to the internet for this.
it is co-opable now.
Yeah.
It came up after 2017. It's not technically an indie because now they're picked up by PlayStation. That was a little bit of a tricky. I didn't really know how to answer that, but I went with no. It's not a platformer. It is a shooter. Not Tiny Tina's. It is a PS5 exclusive. Not Halo. Not part of a series. After March 2020. Not It Takes Two. It was played by Alex. No licensed characters, and it's not Outriders. Very well done. 15. Excellent. I had fun with that. I think you guys did pretty well. You guys did very well.
Bad.
You guys talked it out and found it. So that gives you both a point. So Alex now has 5, Tiffany has 4, and I have 3. Excellent. But a big reason about why I picked Returnal, because it's not super random, is it's actually something that I played. I actually picked up, it was a free download, the free DLC, which is the tower expansion where you're basically, it's levels based, very arcadey, had extra trophies, so I had to go back and play it because I have a problem, and it was a lot of fun. I think a big, I don't want to say gripe, but a big thing that Alex and I didn't like as much was kind of how vague the story was, and the DLC, they like made the most of it, and they allowed more story to come out to where it's a little bit more clear, and I really enjoyed it. It was definitely a small little like 3-hour experience, maybe like very, very small, but pretty fun. Like maybe it was a little bit longer than that, maybe 5 hours at the most.
Was the mode fun enough that you think you'll go back to like on a semi-occasional basis just to like put up a new high score or something?
Yeah, I think that the mode would be a lot more fun in co-op. They allow co-op, but they only allow co-op in the main story, which to me is kind of a miss, because actually our homie Prescott, he like hit me up and he's like, hey, if you ever want to play Returnal co-op, which we both have the platinum, so like we're not needing to, he just really likes the game. He's like, let me know. But I kind of wish that the co-op wasn't just the main story. Like, I wish it was this arcadey, because I think that's the point of, like, arcade is just making the highest score as possible. And for this, you're definitely rewarded for finishing rooms faster and clearing faster. And once you clear a room, you have, like, your point multiplier keeps going backwards until you go to the next room, and then it's locked. So there's not a lot of time to like scavenge guns and scavenge materials. Like, you have to go, and you have to go if you want a really high score. That would be perfect for co-op experience. Unfortunately, that's not, what it is. It's only for the main story. So I probably won't go back to the Tower of Sisyphus. I likely will try out co-op just to see what it's like. But yeah, it was good. It was a great expansion. It was free, so I loved it. So, enough about me and that small game. What have you guys been working on? You guys been kind of busy, right?
So I have been playing but paused on Kirby and the Forgotten Land. Okay. I think I'm halfway through the game. Mm-hmm. My biggest joy is rescuing those Waddle Dees and building up my town. I definitely have to say that originally I was kind of disappointed because I got to a point where I was like, is this all my town? Is this what my town is?
Yeah.
But then it did further expand. So that was very nice. I do have to say that my opinion of it is kind of harsh because I had literally the month prior finished playing Mario Odyssey for the first time, and comparing Kirby and the Forgotten Land to Mario Odyssey it's uncomparable. Like, Kirby is not Mario Odyssey. However, Kirby is a delight. I love the character as a whole. I have several Kirby plushies. But this game, I don't know. I plan to finish it, but it didn't capture me because it still felt like baby's first platformer. Yeah.
I feel like that's the biggest reason why I haven't picked it up, because it's a lot of cash to shell out for kind of a easy experience, and I feel like that's why I've almost shied away from Nintendo First Party, because there's not a lot of difficulty with some of their new stuff outside of their main, like Super Mario Odyssey 2, whenever that comes out, I know I'll get it day one, because it's just going to have a polish to it and a character I love. And they do generally have like a hard mode to it, or at least like a level that's really difficult. Outside of that, like, I know like Yoshi has had a few titles. They all look great and cute, and I love the animation style, but I feel like I wouldn't be interested because it would just be like training wheels. You know what I mean?
I totally know what you mean. And now that you mention it, like Kirby also has like these little gachapon machines in there. And now that you mention it, that reminds me of Yoshi's Crafted World, because they also had gachapon machines. And I actually, with all my good intentions to finish Yoshi's Crafted World, because I was so excited for it, I never did. And I'm going to be completely real. I paid full price for Kirby and the Forgotten Land, but I really think that if you can get it when it's like $40 or like a buy two get one free with a Target deal or something, then I think that that's probably the best time to get it. But for me, it didn't, like, I don't know. I just wasn't as taken as I was with Mario Odyssey. And I think that's the timing in that. But both of you, I know, have so much to play that it's totally understandable to wait on Kirby. I do think that it's a delightful experience, though. And it's actually not that long, supposedly. But I am trying to get all the collectibles. So that's just on me.
No, it's funny you bring up your like slight disappointment in Kirby in the Forgotten Land, and then Matt slightly brings up, the somewhat lackluster update to Returnal, and that, it's not fully co-opable. Because the thing I've been playing mostly in the past time since we last talked about what we've been playing is also something I'm not as happy that it wasn't as good as I thought it could be, and that's Ghostwire Tokyo. So this is the game by Tango Gameworks, who's under Bethesda. So now they're owned by Microsoft. And this is a open world game where you're in Shibuya, particularly in Tokyo. And it's a game that I think really I can praise it for its artistic direction, right? Because obviously you've probably seen in trailers, there's a lot of like hand gestures, right? When you're casting quote unquote the spirit magic, wind, fire, and water, there's a lot of gesticulation. It looks really nice, right? Like it looks like quote unquote you're casting like jutsus, right? Like techniques in Japanese.
Oh yeah.
And visually also the world looks really great, right? Reflections, the whole game takes place at nighttime, so the moon's up in the sky, the streets are wet, it rains. Actually, what's fun is when it rains, the actual particle effect for the water is the kanji for rain.
Rain. That's cool.
And so like if you like look really closely, you can just see it just says rain, and it's just like falling down, all around you. So there's a lot of personality in the game, but I think what it really struggles with is it just doesn't get off from kind of the first few hours. Like once you play the first like opening like 5 hours or so, that's pretty much the rest of it. It's not that long of a game. When I got the platinum trophy, I clocked in at basically 30 hours, so it's relatively short to get through the whole thing, 100% everything. But the game really doesn't change, right? And essentially what the jutsus, what the techniques are for the elements, it's not super inspired, because essentially it comes down to your air element is your like pistol, and then the water element's like a shotgun, and then the fire element's like a rocket launcher. And so in terms of you using the elements, it doesn't get that interesting, and the enemies don't really make you change things or use things in a meaningful way, because essentially you have regular enemies and then you have enemies that have umbrellas. And so the only difference is that when the enemy has an umbrella, your air attacks will bounce off of it. So you have to either charge the water attack or the fire attack to break the umbrella to then, hit the actual enemy and damage them. And so it gets pretty repetitive, and the actual elements just end up feeling like guns. So even though they look cool and like thematically make sense because you're fighting basically spirits and you're using the spirit energy to kill the spirits, or like essentially exercise them in a way, it just feels like you're kind of playing a shooter, and so it's not too inspired if you kind of reduce it down to that element. But I would say that definitely, kind of like how Tiffany was saying, Kirby, is might not be something that is worth that full price. I definitely would recommend to say wait on Ghostwire Tokyo till it goes on sale. I think it also suffers from the same thing of a lot of great ideas, doesn't really execute all the way. And at least though, the story seems to end, which is nice. Like, it doesn't seem like this is something that they'll make more of, or if they do make more of, it could at least be evolved in a way that makes it drastically different. Because I do like the idea. I do like kind of this spirit fighting, right? Because the enemies are super cool because they take place and inspiration from Japanese folklore. So, you have your headless schoolgirls, you have your, what they call kappas, which are basically like those turtle-like spirits
Bald.
that
Bald
they're
turtles.
bald, and then they apparently really like cucumbers, so you have to lure them out. You put down a cucumber and that like lures the kappa out, and then you like hide behind a rock until it starts eating it, and then you can exercise it. So there's a lot of cool ideas, and in terms of Japanese history, there's a lot of cool things to see. But then again, it does only take place in Shibuya, so it's kind of like a limited scope of Tokyo, so you don't see everything. But I'm interested to see if they do continue it. I might get this on PC right now that Tango's owned under Microsoft. I highly doubt they'll publish something on PlayStation again, but I could see myself getting a PC copy of a Ghostwire Tokyo 2 or something.
Yeah, I almost wonder if, because, with this whole exclusive deal, right? As soon as, I would say probably a year, it'll probably be on Game Pass, I would guess. But I wonder if people are like really jiving with this and want Ghostwire Tokyo 2. I almost wonder, and I would think that they would probably bring it multi-platformer just because it was there. Just like Deathloop. I feel like Deathloop, if there's a Deathloop 2, which I kind of hope not, like I hope they just, make something new. I would think that it would be on PlayStation. But I'm very excited to play Ghostwire. I think I was really hyped for it. And then when you started playing it, you kind of gave me the like, well, maybe just wait a little bit. And I'm glad you did, because one, I didn't have time because I was playing Elden Ring. But two, like, I will wait until it's on sale. And I'll probably, I don't know, maybe like half off. That's my goal. Like, I have it on the in the PlayStation Store. You can set like a wish list, and so it'll let you know anytime that like a sale happens. So it's on my wish list. Like, I know I'm going to play it, and I'm excited to play it. It'll probably be this year because PlayStation titles go on sale very quick. Like, Returnal was on sale super quick last year. So hopefully it's the same little bit, with it. But you give it an 8 out of 10 too, right?
Yeah, and definitely if it comes to Game Pass, I would highly recommend it if you have a Game Pass subscription. Yes, check it out. Definitely worth the data cap on your internet, to download it and to give it a try, right? Cost free. Because I think there's some things, play it for a few hours and put it away, right? Like, if you really don't have interest in Japanese culture or history or even just like that area of Tokyo, you can probably find at least some minor fun out of it. Blast some ghosts, rip out their soul cores basically, and then uninstall it and move on. It's good enough for a quick fun time.
And I feel like that's the key, because we don't always have to be playing Elden Rings, right? Like, we're the Recommended Experience podcast. It's like, have fun with what you have. And you know what? 8 out of 10 experiences like you gave this game is kind of what I'm all about, because we're playing an 8 out of 10 game right now, Alex. You and I are playing Tiny Tina's Wonderland. And in all intents and purposes, a Borderlands game can only waver between 7.5 and 8.5 in my mind. Like, it's basically like that solid 8 out of 10. I think Borderlands 1 like was just really great. I really love Borderlands 1. But Tiny Tina's, like, the more we play it, I'm like, this is probably an 8 out of 10, but I'm having such an awesome time playing it. Like, it is written super well. Is the combat repetitive? Yes. Are the quests repetitive? Sometimes, but you have some kind of like diamonds in the rough, and it's just like Alex and I are laughing at random little quips that Tiny Tina has, or one of the character has. Like, last night we were playing on like this pirate level, and they're like, do you want to know true pain? try wearing a corset. Like, it is a line from Pirates of the Caribbean that they just like put into this game for no reason whatsoever except to just like try to get a quick laugh. Like, I am really enjoying just the humor. I think it's a definitely revitalized humor from Borderlands. Like, I only played 1 and 2, but like 1 and 2 is kind of like bathroom humor for a lot of it, and this is just kind of like funny. Like, this is just simple fun jokes, and I've been really enjoying it. Alex, what are your takes on it? What are your takes on it, knowing that we're gonna play this after this podcast?
I definitely think it's definitely a step up from 3, because I think what the series needed, and maybe what Gearbox needed, was a shift from how Borderlands has become, right? And as you mentioned, right, typically the first of any series is not bad, right? Like, especially as bad as it can be, since it's your first time experiencing it, you're like, this was kind of rough. Like, maybe some of the jokes don't land, but it's still, it was a fun game overall. And I think definitely Borderlands 1 falls at, and Borderlands 2 is similar, where, it's chipping away at you, you like it slightly less. And then you hit Borderlands 3 and you're like, you know what? I still like the shooter looter aspect, but the writing just doesn't cut it. Like, a lot of jokes that fall flat, a lot of theming, even though they did have some interesting characters. Like, they had Penn and Teller show up as like characters like named Penn and Teller in the game, voiced by the actual Penn and Teller. So that was cool. They're typically good about getting like kind of actual named celebrities to appear in these games, and so that's really neat. But Wonderland's taking that whole D&D inspiration and also having a star-studded cast, right? You have Wanda Sykes, Will Arnett, Andy Samberg. Like, these are real actors that do a decent job at voice acting. I think they just add to that experience. And so while it's not always their characters that are making the jokes that are funny, I think generally speaking, because this is not a Borderlands game per se, and it does have that D&D spin on it, it does give it, as you said, a revitalized kind of, these jokes are tired, right? They're from, Pirates of the Caribbean. The first one came out, 2002, 2001, like very early on. And so these jokes are technically being riffed from things that are that old, but it's like, you know what? I haven't heard it in a while. It's not bad. And I think definitely the shooter looter aspect still carries through. It's always fun to find a new weapon. You look at the numbers, you say, this ain't as high as what I currently got, trash. And then you find a new one, you're like, oh, it's higher. You equip that. And so that never gets old, but at least the writing kind of has come to that point too, where it's like good enough to be a fun time.
Did you guys ever play Gex? Like an N64 classic? Okay, well, maybe this is all going to be for naught, but the lines are very similar to Gex, like a 2022 Gex, because Gex back in 1990, I don't know, 6, 7, whenever it came out, unbelievable. Like, I don't even know why my parents let me play this game, because it was like filthy, and like the jokes would not hit very well in 2022. Like, it's part of the past that's like probably best to keep in the past. Even me as a big fan of Gex, like, it would not be okay. But I loved that game because like it felt just so much fun, and like every little like one-off line was just brought so much humor and everything to it. I just really enjoyed it. I remember playing, I had never owned Gex. The second Gex, I just rented it from Blockbuster, like weekend after weekend until I beat the game. Like, that's
rest in peace, Blockbuster.
Rest in peace, except for that one Blockbuster in Alaska or something. Yeah, man, what a fun time. But it's kind of very reminiscent of that, where it's like you're just playing this game, and then just like a one-off line that it's not even a main character. It's like someone who's like some skeleton that's dying makes a line as he's dying. And it's like, you may not even hear it if you're like talking on voice chat or something. And it's like some writer somewhere was like, I'll put it in, and maybe someone will notice it. Maybe someone won't. I just love that.
So I saw a movie in the movie theater in the last couple weeks. I saw Fantastic Beasts, The Secrets of Dumbledore.
Nice.
And honestly, I talked about in the previous episode how the the movie series for Fantastic Beasts hasn't really been wowing me lately.
Mm-hmm.
And there were aspects that I did enjoy about this movie, and then there are aspects plot points that I did not agree with, or like I was like, why did they do that? Like, what was the point of that? I'm gonna be real, like this is a good thing and a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
You essentially really had to know what happened in the last two movies. I believe I saw the first one twice because I really enjoyed it. Like I ended up like buying the Blu-ray or DVD, I think, for that first Fantastic Beasts when it was like, $5 on Black Friday. I loved the animals and everything about that. The second movie I only saw once in theaters and I wasn't like wowed. The third one, like, I barely remember bits and pieces from the second one, which is important for the third one, which I thought in a way was bad because, like, I was like, what is happening? But it was good because they didn't, like, try to recap, like, they didn't spend, like, 20 minutes trying to recap something you should have already known. But there was also things that I don't think were explained very well. Like, there's this whole congregation of witches and wizards, and I'm like, I don't know that I knew about this like were we supposed to know about this congregation from the last two movies? Obviously I can't answer that question because I didn't rewatch them and I don't remember. But there were things like moving forward in this that I was like, wait, I don't understand. Like, was this known before? And then there was a character where I'm like, what was the point of this character? Like, this entire movie, I was like, this is very strange. So, I did love, spoiler alert.
Are you going to spoil it?
Well, never mind. Fine, I won't spoil it.
No spoiler talk for anything.
Fine.
We talked about
okay,
today.
you're true. But yeah, so honestly, like, if you guys want to watch it, do it. I don't know that I can hold.
What it sounds like is,
I don't know.
Dumbledore's secrets should have stayed secret.
Basically.
How did Jude Law and Mads Mikkelsen do? Because I'm going to watch this movie, whether it's on TV in like 10 years, or if it's on some streaming service, or if I eventually go like to like a very cheap showing sometime,
like a Tuesday showing. Yeah,
exactly. I know I'm going to watch this movie, but a big reason of why I wanted to watch it is because Jude Law and Mads Mikkelsen, I can just only imagine. I would think their chemistry would be very good. Like, they're two great actors in my mind. How did they do? Meh?
So they did well individually.
Okay.
But
not
I did
together.
not. I didn't believe. They literally make this canon. Like, this movie has made it canon that they
were like a thing, right?
Yes.
I thought that they already established that in like the Deathly Hallows.
That Dumbledore loved Grindelwald, but like it just was, they were both so, I didn't believe it.
Okay.
Like I didn't believe it. They had a scene at the beginning. It's literally in the beginning of the movie, and he's like, "I loved you," and like I didn't get it. But I also don't know if because Mads is being like just so focused on his like agenda as being that wizard, like, I'm done with you, like, no matter what you say, like, you didn't follow along with my vision, you know what I mean? Like, that could have been the ploy, but like to them together I didn't really see the angst. But yeah, and also, like, give me more magical creatures. There's only like 3 magical creatures in this movie, and like that's the thing that I liked, and I loved the magic that was being used in the movie. Fantastic. But like the plot points of like the politics, literal magic politics, and I'm like, you've lost me.
So as a side answer, do you think was the magic that was displayed something that you could see being potentially in the game?
I really hope so. I'm so hopeful.
Okay.
But I'm also like,
and by game, I mean Hogwarts Legacy. They're not making a Fantastic Beasts game for the uninitiated out there.
Right. Did they ever explain when, like, you don't need a spell? That's where I get confused. Like, a lot of magic is being, like, just done with the flick of a wand, and no one's saying any damn spells. And literally,
that's my question. Is that, are like the words actually the power in this universe? Like, do they ever explain that? Or
no,
is it like
that's what I don't
each
remember.
But I feel like most of
has
the
a power?
initial movies, though, there was a lot of flicking of the wrist, like to close a door or whatever. Like they're not saying anything, you know. It's just they're kind of like waving around.
I thought they did. They'd be like Lumos for light.
Well,
and,
they
Or is
did.
this like a?
I mean,
is this like a power level thing? Is it like the stronger you are, you don't need to say the word? Like,
I wonder if it's like
you're in
guiding you to like focus on those words, but like when you're at a certain level, you can focus on the words without saying them out loud and like do it. You know what I mean? It's probably like something like that, where it's like it's so strong in your heart you could say Lumos and light it up without actually like, saying Lumos.
As a child, I read books 1 through 4 probably like 4 or 5 times each, but then 5 through 7 I only read once.
Yeah, because 5 is a bad book. Yeah, like it happens.
I mean, so like I probably like if they explain as you get older, you don't need to say the words. That might have left me, but yeah,
who knows?
And then I watched
all this means is Voldemort doesn't really want to kill Harry because he has to say Avada Kedavra every time.
But maybe it's such a tough spell. Maybe it's such a tough spell he has to say it. You know what I mean?
Voldemort's just a weak wizard. He's a bad wizard. That's why he loses.
He's an evil
Spoilers.
Wizard. So my last question about this, then we can move on.
Yes.
Would you recommend this movie? And if so, to whom?
I would only recommend it to Harry Potter fans.
Okay.
If you still love Harry Potter and the Hogwarts universe, go see it. If
so
not,
is this old fans or current fans? Like, do you need? Because it sounds like you needed to have seen the first 2 Fantastic Beasts to even appreciate this one.
No,
little bit.
Hundo P.
So you need to be that much of a fan.
You need to have seen. If you just want more Hogwarts magic, or not even Hogwarts magic, because they're technically from Ilvermorny.
Wizarding World magic.
Wizarding World magic. Go ahead and watch it. As a film for someone that doesn't care, then don't. I don't recommend it.
Okay.
And then also 2 other movies that I just will briefly touch on. I watch on streaming, The King's Man and The Batman. Both movies with The King's Man was not funny. There was like no comedy. So it was a very different movie from the 2 Kingsman movies, which I thoroughly enjoyed. However, if you're intrigued about how the Kingsman group was started, this is literally that movie. But it's very dramatic, based on events of World War I believe. Because
like real events?
Yeah, like legit, like Ferdinand gets like murdered.
Wow, okay.
So like they say that that's part of it, like part of the creation of the Kingsman like group. There are some outrageous things that happen, and there was a moment in the movie where I gasped.
Okay.
But it wasn't Kingsman. Like I was like, dang, like where's the like outrageous funny stuff that happens, you know, like a crazy lasso battle, you know, like that was in the second one. It was great. This one does not have that. So I don't know that I don't think I recommend watching it unless do you like war? If you like war movies like this, like go for it.
Yeah, but like when I'm watching a war movie, I'm like wanting to watch. You're watching like
Dunkirk.
Yeah, like I'm not gonna be watching The Kingsman.
The Kingsman. Yeah. So yeah, honestly, you could probably pass up on it. And The Batman, I just think the length was just so long. I did like his detective work in that movie, but I don't think it was for me. I've never seen all of the OG Batman movies, like the ones with like Val Kilmer, George Clooney, whatever. Like I've never actually watched all of I don't think I've ever sat down and watched it from start to finish for any of them. I've definitely seen bits and pieces of those movies and clips, and like my parents maybe watched it when they were released or whatever, but I never really watched them. And for the Christian Bale Batman. I didn't like Batman Begins like at all, but I
Okay.
loved Dark Knight and Dark Knight Rises, but Dark Knight being my favorite. So I guess I'm just not a Batman universe girl.
Mm-hmm.
And so like I thought it was fine. Like I actually think it's worth watching. I think the Batman is worth watching, but it wasn't like I don't know that I'd watch it again because just also it's a long commitment. But I do plan on listening to the peer review.
Oh, okay.
'Cause
I was just
I
about to
haven't-
ask you. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna listen to that. I haven't done that yet.
Yeah, Yasser texted me because you watched it on HBO Max, right?
Yes.
Because Yasser texted me because, for everybody out there, Yasser and I recorded a peer review on the Batman. Everyone go watch it. It's great. We had some good conversation, and he texted me. He's like, well, I know what I'm doing this weekend, because he was like already going to watch it again. Because we both jived with it. I guess that's the spoiler of it. One of us I jived with it a little bit more than he did. I really enjoyed it. Not to spoil what we talked about in the peer review, but honestly, like as a Batman fan, it was a great movie. It was really good. Like the 3 hours, I get you. Like I get it. It's crazy to me though that the Batman and King Kong were so similar in length, because King Kong is the only movie that I've ever gotten up out of my seat to go to the bathroom. Like I've just held it in. I'm like, I'm going to drown internally and that's what I'm going to do, because I got to watch this. But King Kong, I was like, who cares? Like, I'm so done with this movie. The Batman, I didn't feel a thing. So, I was ready for it. Cool. One last thing I want to talk about. And you knew it was going to happen because Alex said yesterday, he said, you're just going to spend 50 minutes talking about Slay the Spire. It's like, yes, I am.
Yes. But this is full circle, Alex. He took it upon my recommendation.
Exactly, because we are the Recommending Spirits podcast. And we got this new PS Plus game that came out. When I say new, I mean it's old, because it's been out for a bit. And Tiffany and Alex both played it. Tiffany was a little bit hotter on it than Alex. And, I didn't know if I would be into it, because it's a card-based game. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to go for it. And I am so glad I did. Like, I am sitting at like 44% of the trophies. Like, I am digging this game. And I've only really played it for maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks. Yeah, like, I don't know. Like, not
it hasn't
maybe 2
been
weeks.
like 3 weeks.
Has it been 3 weeks? Oh man, I can figure out when my first achievement was.
Yeah, it's been 3 weeks, because it's been 3 weeks since we last played Tiny Tina.
That is not true. You're such a liar.
Actually, if you look at the timestamps for those trophies, you might see exactly 21 days in between certain trophies.
That's a good point. So my first trophy
record.
was about 15 days ago. So really, just about 2 weeks.
Okay, so it took about a week, and then Slay the Spire stole you away for 2 weeks.
Honestly, this game, like I've gone through the story, at least the base story, with all 4 characters. Have not gotten the like final ending for any of them, and all the trophies are so difficult and like so RNG dependent that it hurts me as a like completionist, because I don't know if I'm ever going to complete it. And I'm starting to get to the point where I'm like, maybe this will just be my white whale that I will play every, few months or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of happy with that. Like, I was looking at PSN profiles today, and like I have an A rating on Slay the Spire, which means like I'm not completionist, like I'm not an S, but A is like the top, I don't know, 25% of PSN profile users, like for trophy progress and things. So like I'm happy with A. Like I definitely have given it a good shot, and I've really enjoyed it. And honestly, this makes me think, are there other genres that I just haven't given that much time of day? Like in my back of my mind, you guys had like Lost in Random recently, Inscription, all these things where I was like, no, I know it's not for me because it's card based. I'm just not into that. And now I'm thinking, what else should I try? Like this is like my
Yeah.
starter drug almost, like for a game. Like maybe I've been like too open, like I don't want to play it because it's cards. So I don't know. Maybe this will be something new for me. I don't know.
You know, honestly, like one of the great things about Slay the Spire is that you're not completely building a deck from scratch. Like, you know what, how most people think most card games are, because they are like that. You know, like Magic the Gathering, Pokemon, like you like buy card packs and you're like forming your own deck, right? And it's just like for a new player, that's really daunting. Like, how are you supposed to know like what combination of cards is ideal? But Slay the Spire, you pick a character, you got 10 cards, and then you figure it out. And then you swap them in, you swap them out. The more you add, obviously, it takes longer to cycle through your cards. And if you have that one powerful card, it's going to take a while. So maybe you need to weed things out. You know, concepts like that are pretty manageable. And that's why I was also quite taken with Slay the Spire. And so it makes me so happy that you really liked it too. Because every time you won, I was like, I also win.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because every time I'm
also,
like, oh, go ahead, Alex.
I was just gonna say, I think it's fitting that you say it's a game that you'll just come back to every so often, because I feel like these days a lot of games either fall into the bucket of, you know, you play it, you're done with it, you never go back to it, or you're playing it every day, right? Obviously, things like Battle Passes really try to encourage that. So it feels like having that occasional game, you know, whether or not that period's like 1 week or 1 month or a few months, right? It feels like that type of game doesn't exist for a lot of people, or is at least getting nudged out of saying, you know, I'm not done with the game, but it's not something we have to play every day, right? It's like kind of how the three of us enjoy Fall Guys, where, you know, back when we first got it, this is a game, loads of fun, played it for probably a good month, almost on a daily basis. But then now we're at the point, right? It's almost 2 years old, but still, it's a game that's still fun to go back to, just not every day, right? And so it definitely feels like for you, Slay the Spire is that same niche of, I love this game, and even more so, Slay the Spire isn't going to change because I'm pretty sure they're done updating it. And so it's like, you love it, it's not changing, it's not going anywhere, you know, you can go back to it whenever.
Yeah. Alex, have you been playing or watching anything else? I have one more thing I want to talk about.
I want to one up Tiffany here, because she's like, I saw one movie in the theaters, and I said, nay, I got to see 2 movies in the theaters. And so I saw a kids movie and a very much not a kids movie. So which one do you want to start with first?
Let's go with the kids movie first.
The kids movie. So obviously the kids movie is Fantastic Beasts. No, just kidding.
Oh,
it is Sonic the Hedgehog 2. I saw Sonic the Hedgehog 2 in theaters. So avid listeners of the RXP podcast might remember last year I ended up watching Sonic the Hedgehog 1, you know, on Amazon, rented it for $2, $1.
$2.
You know, on the $2. Saw it, thought it was very okay. You know, Ben Schwartz as Sonic, not bad.
I love
James
him.
Marsden as the human, not bad.
Random.
Jim Carrey as Robotnik,
Sure.
also not bad. And so here I thought, okay, I saw the first one on Amazon for cheap. I might as well see the second. You know, the fact that the first one did well enough that they made a second, also potentially, who knows, maybe Jim Carrey's last movie, you know, since he announced his recent move to backing out of the acting industry, that I'm like, I gotta see, you know, what Jim Carrey is up to, right? You know, in case this is his last. And ultimately, it's not bad. I think it's, you know, it's a kid's movie, right? So you have to go in with that perspective. And really, you have to go into the perspective saying, I think they care a little bit too much about making you want to care about the actual humans in the story, as opposed to it being also about Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles. And it's just this weird dichotomy to say, right? Like, you look at the games. I mean, okay, there are some humans in some of the Sonic games, but before they started going down that route, there were no humans in Sonic, right? Like, it was only these animal-like creatures. And so you're like, I'm here for the echidna. I'm here for the fox. I'm here for the hedgehog. But then they want you to care about the people in the story. And I'm like, they didn't even exist in the games, right? Like Green Hill Zone is some fictional world that Sonic lives in, and they're like, oh, let's make up a fake world, and I even forget what state they're in. I think they're in Washington. Let's make up a fake city in Washington called Green Hills, and so that's like the analog to say, it's like Green Hill Zone, but it's in Earth.
Mm-hmm.
And so ultimately, I would say I don't recommend this, even if you're a fan of Sonic. I mean, I would say that as a kid's movie, it definitely, like, if you're a parent with a child, take them to see this movie. It's a perfect kids movie. As an actual adaptation of Sonic, I'd say if you like the first one, watch this. Otherwise, if you never saw the first one, this one does not change your mind. They do some neat things at the end, which I will spoil.
No, don't do it.
No, I'll put it in the time. I'll put in the
No.
timestamps.
No, don't spoil.
It's a post-credit scene.
Are you gonna watch it, Matt?
I
Are you
might
gonna
watch
watch
it. I might watch it.
Okay, don't do it, Alex. Don't do it.
Okay. No spoilers. Never mind. No spoilers again. Nay to spoilers. But yeah, I would say walking away. If you like the first one, watch this. If you didn't watch the first one, this won't change your mind. And it's just a good kids movie.
Does this move the needle for you at all with Sonic Frontiers, the new Sonic game that looks like Breath of the Wild?
Yes and no, mostly because actually my only real exposure to Sonic is Sonic 1 and 2. So back when we were younger, we had a Sega collection for PC, Windows. And so I played a lot of old Sega games there. Stuff like Shining Force, Sonic 2. And I really like those games. You know, I think Sonic really worked well in a 2D setting. I understand, gotta go fast. So I get all those memes. Mm-hmm. And, seeing more recent ones, I never played stuff like Sonic Adventure Battle. I never played, the very more recent stuff like Sonic Boom, or I think it's called Sonic Heroes. So I don't know how Sonic does in a 3D space, but it seemed like those games had more 3D versions of the worlds. So I'm like, can they make a good Sonic in 3D? Or is like Sonic really only good in 2D, right? Like when you're going left to right as opposed to, in a 360 direction. So I'm still waiting. As when they announced it, I was not interested at all. Mm-hmm. Pending, who knows what they actually show Frontiers to be, but I probably don't think it'll make any difference. Like seeing the movie, I like Sonic as a character. I think he's fun. I like a lot of the other characters in that universe. I'm hoping for some characters that haven't appeared yet in the first or second movie to finally get their chance in the third one. They show one that will be in the third one, which I wanted to spoil, but I'll hold back on it.
So what was the adult movie?
Yeah, the adult one.
All right, the adult movie. Very much adult, rated R. That's how you know it's an adult movie, when it's
so adult.
R. Yeah, you need to have parental.
There were no 13-year-olds in that entire movie theater.
Yeah, exactly. And that is Everything, Everywhere, All at Once.
Oh, I'm very interested. Tell me more.
Yeah.
So this movie, and my recommendation is that I don't know what my recommendation is yet.
Oh, gosh.
You still don't know?
Yeah, so I saw this a few days ago. So at the time of recording, it's been a few days. I've been sleeping on it. I've been occasionally thinking about it, and it's definitely a movie that I think leans a little bit on the artsy side.
Abstract.
Yeah, it's a little too artsy for my taste. But there were several moments where I did laugh. Like there are a lot of good, funny, I guess, singular scenes. Mm-hmm. But I think looking at the movie as a whole, it's very confusing, right? It took me a while of watching the movie to really try to understand also what the message is. And it's something you do get by the end, which I also appreciate to say. If I walked out of this theater not knowing what the point of the movie was, it would definitely have been a no. But because I got there before the credits rolled, I think, it gave you enough to try and help you understand what the whole thing was supposed to be about. And I at least appreciate that. But there are a lot of confusing things. There are 4 things in particular that when you see them, you'll be very confused or laugh. You might laugh at them. Some people in the audience, in the theater when I watched laughed. But I was just confused as to why they were there. You'll know it when you see it. I'm not going to say specifically what they are, but it's 4 things. Count it, 4. Keep that in mind.
That's a bad number in Chinese culture.
Right.
That's my favorite number. but I'm also not Chinese, so like it's fine.
Okay. Yeah. I was about to say like, oh well, that works out.
I've heard great things about this. Like it's got like a 97% on Rotten Tomatoes. Like IMDb is like 8.9 out of 10, which is kind of hard to come by these days. I'm very interested. I will likely watch this. It's another one of those things. I don't know if I'm going to have time to go to the theater.
Yeah, because it's already like on its way out, technically.
Yeah.
So
but
I probably have to wait for streaming.
I've also heard that it's kind of like Oscar bait in a lot of ways. Like somewhat like a lot of people that I listen to specifically for movies is like, yeah, I watched this thing, one of the best movies I've seen in a long time, and I know that it's probably going to be represented at the Oscars. So it's something where I'm like, well, do I wait until the Oscars? Like I usually try to watch a lot of the Oscar films right before, but I might go and see it. Who knows? But very, very interested. Cool. All right, Tiffany, what's your last one?
My last one. So I've actually gotten back into a previous hobby that I had when I was younger. I'm reading a lot now. Like I've picked up books again, like novels, and it's just been a whirlwind of just binge reading because I can read a book faster than I can watch like a 12-hour miniseries, you know? Like in general. Anyway, so the book that I want to talk about will be turning into a movie, and that's why I want to talk about it.
Oh, okay.
I read this book called Project Hail Mary. It is written by the same author that wrote The Martian, which was adapted into a film with Matt Damon. Project Hail Mary, it will be made into a film with Ryan Gosling starring as a titular character, or not titular character because it's not. The character's not named Hail Mary. Sorry. I don't know why I said that. But he's the main character. And Christopher Lord and Miller, I forgot what, Philip Miller maybe? I don't know. Lord and Miller basically are the ones like producing the movie. And they are the ones that made Into the Spider-Verse and the first couple Lego movies and my favorite murder mystery show, The After Party. So I'm quite excited. Premise of the book is that this guy wakes up with no memories of what is going on in a strange place. And he basically realizes he's on a spaceship. And then as he's going through space, he starts remembering why he's there. Also, he has 2 other crewmates. When he wakes up, they're dead. Like, he's basically alone. And he's like, what is happening? And this isn't much of a spoiler because that's literally kind of the first couple chapters of the book. And it's on, like, the book jacket. But, yeah, he's basically hurtling in space. He has no idea where he's going. He has no idea what is happening. And he sciences the heck out of everything. And it's awesome. And I'm so excited for the movie. And I'm actually, like... I think it takes a lot for a movie to have essentially like one main character, you know, like Will Smith in that zombie apocalypse movie, Sandra Bullock in Gravity, or, you know, like all these movies that just has like one person like kind of dealing with things like, you know, Tom Hanks and Castaway and all that stuff. I think Ryan Gosling will do great. Like, I think he can handle that, and I'm pretty excited about it. So I hope that this movie comes out within the next like 3 years or something. But 5 out of 5, like 100% would recommend the book for those listeners that are into reading.
I can't wait to watch the movie.
Yeah. Yeah, I was like, Alex, do you want to borrow it? And he's like, I'll just wait for the movie.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay.
Yeah. That's cool. I like the dynamic duo of Phil Lord and Chris Miller. Like that'll be pretty good. So.
So their name is Phil Lord and Chris.
Yeah,
Miller.
you like had them switch. I was like
said Christopher Lord. Oh, that's why you were doing that. Okay.
Yeah.
My B.
No, that's good. That's good. Sweet. I think we've got some solid recommendations for everybody to go try out. But I think that's it. Episode 68 in the book. One away, you know, from the nicest of all episodes. But if you want to reach out to us, you can find us on Twitter at RXP_podcast. Email us at rxp.podcast@gmail.com. Or if you're watching this on YouTube, like, subscribe, all those things. It's under RXP Podcast. Other than that, take care. We'll see you next time. Thank you to Grandmaster Doug for the music, and bye. But I'm also not Chinese, so like it's fine.
Rest in peace, Blockbuster.